the Poseidon Adventure. I was 7. I was in the first grade, and my dad told me, he said, Andrew, how would you like to see Titanic, but a little bit different? And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, there's a movie called The Poseidon Adventure, and it's about a bunch of people that get on a cruise ship on New Year's Eve. And when the clock strikes midnight, the ship gets turned upside down, and they got to find a way to get out. Okay, he didn't say it like that, the face I'm making, but he basically said that was the explanation of the movie. And I'm like, oh, can I see that? And we went to Blockbuster, and we rented it, and we watched it, and I was blown away by this movie. I mean, this was like Titanic blew me away, and I was 4 years old when I saw that on the big screen. I was blown away by that ship sinking, but this was amazing to watch this movie. The way the ship gets turned over, and Leslie Nielsen as the captain, and Gene Hackman, who is always good. I mean, there's nothing to say about this movie. I really like how this movie had a huge impact on me. It really did, and I'll tell you why. I ended up writing a story about it. I remember this. I remember writing a story about this in first grade. I do. We had to pick a story that we had to write about for first grade, and I kind of made up a story similar to the Poseidon Adventure, because that was all I was watching. That was all I could think about, and did my own spin on it. Like, a ship gets cut in half and turned over at the same time, like Titanic and Poseidon Adventure combined. And I remember the adults were kind of intrigued that I heard about that movie at that age, at age 7, because a lot of little kids never even saw that movie. This is a really good... I watch this movie every New Year's Eve. Every New Year's Eve. For the last 9-10 years, I've been watching this movie every New Year's Eve. It's become a tradition in my house, pretty much. I love the acting. The acting in this movie is so good. Gene Hackman is so good in this. I think this movie won a couple Academy Awards. Ernest Borgnine is really good. Red Buttons. Jack Albertson from Willy Wonka is in this movie. He was Charlie Bucket's grandfather. You know what I mean? So yeah, and I had seen Willy Wonka many times, so I knew who this guy was. I was surprised how many people I knew were in this. I mean, I knew who Leslie Nielsen was. I knew who Gene Hackman was. And this was actually a pretty decent flick. If you guys haven't seen Poseidon Adventure, I recommend that you check this movie out, because this movie, a lot of childhood memories watching this film. Next one. Snow Day. When I think of Nickelodeon movies, this is the first movie that comes to mind, because it just seems to have everything that a Nickelodeon movie should have had, and it's also a product of the times. If you watch this movie again, it's very dated. There's a lot of music in this movie where... The best way I can say it is this. There's going to be at least one song from an artist that's signed on to Zomba or Jive Records. You're going to either hear a song from Aaron Carter, Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Dream Street, No Secrets, and all the other pop bands, all the boy bands and girl bands that only made one album that no one really remembers anymore. At least one song from any of those artists is going to be in this movie, because that's what everybody was doing at that time, between 1997 and like 2001, 2002. That was what movies had. And not only does it make them dated, but it makes them memorable. I will say that. Even though they are dated, yeah, but it makes you memorable because it takes you back to that time. And Snow Day is definitely one of those movies. This is a movie that was really good when I was a kid. I mean, I loved this movie as a kid. I remember when it came out on video, my sister and I went to Blockbuster the first day it came out to rent it on video cassette, and we rushed back home to our house and popped it in, because we were so hyped when that movie came out, because we saw it in the movies and we loved it. And I own it on video cassette, and because it's Nickelodeon movies, it's that orange video cassette. If any of you guys remember, any movie from Nickelodeon movies that was made on video cassette was orange, if you remember that, because it was Nickelodeon, you know? And so here are my problems with Snow Day. It does have a lot of problems, because the critics didn't like it. And I'm like, why couldn't they like it? So I decided to look at it again. And here is the main problem with it. It's really, really stupid. They're, like, one of the main story arcs in this movie, and as a kid, see, because it was a kid's movie, as a kid, this seemed like a really cool thing. As an adult, it's really stupid. One of the story arcs are the three kids trying to stop Chris Elliott as Snowplow Man. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that's really lame. Like, they're trying to stop Snowplow Man from destroying their second snow day. Like, well, this is why it doesn't make sense. Number one, no kid would ever do that. No kid would ever do that. If any kid were to ever do that, they would have gotten the idea from this movie. Because no child would ever do that. They would never go after a snowplow man and try to stop him from, you know, shoveling the snow on the side. And besides, is he the only snowplow man in their neighborhood? There's probably dozens of snowplows going around. Like, how can you stop the snowplow man around that? You can't. So it's really stupid, you know. But as a kid, it was awesome, you know. Xena Gray, Jay Yorker, and Josh Peck. No one knew who Josh Peck was yet at this point. I mean, he wasn't. I mean, the Amanda Show was going on. This came out in February of 2000. I was in the first grade when this movie came out. Amanda Show was going on, but I don't think he was on it yet. So that was something that, you know, Josh Peck wasn't a part of, but no one knew who he was yet. I mean, it was a cast of unknown kids. So yeah, so that's one storyline. The other one is Mark Webber, I think the guy's name is. He plays the son of Chevy Chase, who plays a weatherman in this movie. But Mark Webber is this teen who really likes this girl. I don't remember what her name was, but you might remember her as Sloane from the show Entourage. I can't think of her name. I'm trying to think of her name. It's I forget what it is, but she's like the most hot. She's like the bombshell of his school. Like, every guy wants to go out with her, and she just broke up with her boyfriend. And one of the things I do love about this movie that I still love. I didn't find it funny as a kid, but now that I'm a young adult, I just find this funny. I don't know if you guys remember this. Any of you who have seen this movie. There's a scene in the movie where she's getting dressed and she walks over to her window to open up the shades, and like, all the guys from her high school are outside with, like, posters saying, "I love you, Claire. Please, go out with me." She hasn't even broken up with her boyfriend 24 hours already. There's, like, a dozen guys out there saying, "I love you, Claire. I want to stroke your hair. Please." It's so stupid. But, okay, that got a laugh out of me. That is funny. I think that's kind of funny. Weird, but funny. So that's going on. There's a lot of Nickelodeon-isms in this. Like, if you grew up with Nickelodeon from 1998, 99 till about 07, 08, you know what I'm talking about. This is the Nickelodeon-isms that this movie has. There's a lot of, you know, it's kids taking down adults. It's like, the kids rule and everything. I mean, like, you know what if you grew up with Nickelodeon, you know what it is. Do I still like this movie? Yeah, it's got flaws in it, but I still like it. The one thing that kind of blew me away, even as a kid, was, did they wait to shoot this movie on a snowy day, or did they make the snow? And I know they made the snow, but there's like a lot of scenes, they have like cars covered in snow. Like, what was the budget for this? Like, they must have gotten a lot of snow in this movie. I mean, it snows like up to like 8 inches or something. Like, no, not 8 inches. No, too small. Like 3 to 5 feet of snow in this movie. I mean, it's everywhere. It's like every kid's dream, you know, to have off from school and everything. I mean, there's a lot of... That's actually pretty good. Yeah, but I do like this movie. It brings back good memories of me being a kid and watching what was on at that time. And also Nickelodeon. I mean, even though this movie had nothing to do with Nickelodeon, it wasn't based off a show or anything. I mean, Josh Peck went to star on Nickelodeon stuff after this, but that's about all I can think of. Nothing else. So, but yeah, Snow Day for this little movie that a lot of people like. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's on Netflix if you guys want to see it. I have it on video cassette, which still runs pretty well. So yeah, Snow Day, definitely one of those. Next one. Max Keeble's Big Move. This is a film that a lot of people either forgot about or never saw. And it really, you know, it doesn't surprise me that this movie was a box office bomb, because it did really poorly at the box office. It didn't do well. One of the things that I like about it is that not only is this, okay, I've talked about this before on the show. I don't have facts, but the way the timeline is, I think I know what was going on, okay? This movie came out a year and a half after Snow Day, okay? And this is a Disney film, all right? This is released by Disney. It's got Nickelodeon all over it, guys. It's Disney ripping off Nickelodeon, doing what Nickelodeon was good at doing, which was kids going up against adults, them defeating the bad guys, saving the day, and a lot of gross-out humor. Because, you know, Nickelodeon was famous for Slime Time Live. Remember Slime Time Live? Yeah, that was big. So, anyway, Max Keeble's big move. I remember seeing this on the big screen, and I remember liking it. Some of it still holds up. A lot of it is really stupid and lame. And I'll go to the stuff that is bad, okay? First of all, it's like the guys that did this movie watched Snow Day and said, you know what, let's do exactly what Snow Day did, but we'll make some minor adjustments. Because here's the funny thing. Xena Gray and Josh Peck, two out of the three kids from Snow Day, play the friends in this movie. Against, you know, because they're with Alex D. Linz, who plays Max Keeble. And that's the kid, if you guys don't know, that's the kid from Home Alone 3, the little kid. So, it's the three of them. And I remember seeing Josh Peck come into the movie. I'm like, hey, it's the kid from Snow Day. And then, like, 2 seconds later, Xena Gray comes in. I'm like, oh my god, like, where's Jade Yorker, who played Chet from Snow Day? He should be coming in. You know, but no, it's just the two of them. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. So that's one thing. The second thing is this. The bullies in this movie, this is middle school, okay? And it's the first day of middle school, so I'm guessing this is like 6th grade or 7th grade. The bullies in this movie, I mean, you could argue that they were held back some years because it's shown that they don't do well in school, that they don't get good grades. But these kids look like they're seniors in high school. That, like, they look like they should be going off to college soon. And they're attacking, like, these middle school kids. And they're in middle school. And what they're doing isn't really what bullies do. I mean, it's more like borderline criminal, what they're doing. I mean, it's amazing, like, the cops aren't getting involved in this. And the school doesn't get involved in this because everyone in the school is stupid. And trust me, I am a victim of being bullied, so I know what it's like to have the school not on your side. So you can make that argument fair. So that's that. The other problem I have is this. The love interest in this movie, again, just like the bullies, it's not the right casting, because I think the girl that Max Keeble likes is like a junior in high school or something. I think she looks like a senior or something in high school, and Max is like 12 years old. This girl's like 17 or 18. It almost kind of reminded me of Garbage Pail Kids a little bit. Like, the bullies and the love interest are like way older than the protagonist. It kind of reminded me of Garbage Pail Kids a little bit. Do not see that movie. It's a piece of shit. Do not see that movie. But I felt that was kind of weird casting. I don't know. It's like weird. So that's that. I will say, this is what I like, and I didn't like this originally, but watching it now, I just find this hilarious. Larry Miller as the principal cracks me up every time he's on screen. He's so over the top. You can tell he's having fun in this role. He doesn't give a shit. He loves what he's doing here. There's a scene in the movie where, I'll never forget this. There's a scene in the movie where there's an assembly going on, and he's on the stage, and he's telling, and the kids are like making chit chat in the gym, and he's like, everyone settle down, please settle down, and they don't settle down, and he's like, cease, and they're all just standing up very still. Like, that cracks me up, and he does that throughout the movie sometimes. There's also something else he does. Every time Max gets the best of him, like when he's playing pranks or something, he always like notices him, and he's like, Keeble! Keeble! And he's like running after him and shit. I mean, that's funny. There's even a scene where he's using the principal's video camera, you know, the way they do morning announcements. He's on there, he's in the principal's chair, and the principal's like he plays the principal. He's outside, and Max is like, I don't know what else to say, but I'm sorry. And Larry Miller walks by a room, and he looks at the TV, and he's like, Keeble! And runs out. Like, every time he's on screen, he just makes me laugh. He plays a dick in this movie, but man, is he funny when he's on screen. And you know, it's funny that this movie is very similar to Snow Day, because it's like, hey, we saw Chris Elliott as Snowplow Man. Let's get Jamie Kennedy and call him Evil Ice Cream Man. But the weird thing is that the kids aren't going after the Evil Ice Cream Man. Evil Ice Cream Man's going after Max. Weird, man. It's really weird. But, so, that happens. And Jamie Kennedy, again, he's so over the top. I don't think he's that good an actor anyway. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy and everything.